am back. Just going to pull up the live on my computer so that I can follow along and see the chat. I am not showing that it's live, but it looks live. Let me refresh my page. Okay, yes, I see it now. Okay, yes. So I apologize if you were on a couple of minutes ago. I had my son texting me. I had the school calling saying that my other son was marked absent from first period, which I know he was there, as I was trying to set up the camera and everything happening all at once. And I was saying that I haven't been live for quite a while because, you know, I've got the kids have been home from college and they finally are back into their routine, and someone's always home, and I work from my dining room table, which is in the middle of the house. So it's never quiet here until they all go to school and my husband's at work, and then the dog needs to go out. So if you were on the earlier live, I apologize. I had to cut it really short when the school called because that always gets me nervous because they really never call me. So I just want to make sure everybody was okay and everybody's fine, everybody's settled. And I am back going to make a couple of orders from my Etsy shop. I have an order for a wedding bow, and I also have an order for a welcome front door wreath. So since it's quiet here, for at least for the moment, I wanted to jump on and come back on and get back into the routine because I would love to get back into the routine. Let me know if you can hear me okay. Let me just check the sound because I didn't check that. Yep, that sounds good to me. Hopefully you can see okay. I don't know if I should flip the camera, if it would be easier to see. Well, let's get started and you let me know. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm following along also in the comments. Good morning, good morning. I'm glad to see people are here and commenting. Okay. Yes, we're always still learning, right? I've been doing this for about 7 years and I'm always learning. Even though I've, you know, I would consider myself a fairly seasoned wreath maker and bow maker, I still love to watch videos because I'm always finding something new and, you know, a different way to make things. So what I'm using is my Easy Bow Maker, the Deluxe Easy Bow Maker. I've tried all of the bow makers. I have all of the bow makers, but I come back to this one every single time because I just find it's the easiest to use. It makes a really nice consistent bow. The trick is to getting these two dowels, which they call the fingers, really, really pound them in there. Otherwise they keep popping out. So I've even taken a little bit of, since I always keep it out, I don't store it away, a little bit of wood glue, and I popped it in the holes, and it's been, knock on wood, it's been great for years. So I use this. I have my self-healing mat on the bottom because I like to use the extra ruler to extend my bows. This only goes to 8 inches. I'm going to be using my wire cutters, a good pair of scissors. I have one pipe cleaner and one 8-inch zip tie. And I'll be using 2 ribbons, always wired ribbons in my bows. One is a 2.5-inch ribbon and one is a 1.5-inch ribbon. And then I'm going to be putting this pretty pearl accent in the middle. So this one, I just am going to pull up my Etsy order. I always like to look at the order just before I start because there's always different sizes, colors. I just want to make sure which one okay, so she bought the smaller wedding bow. And these are perfect. You can add it to a wreath. You can add it to like a favor basket or a flower girl basket. So this is a sheer, very, very hard to find sheer white ribbon now. I've been making this bow for years. It's so hard. They don't make the one that, the brand that I used to use all the time. And it's very hard to find a really nice quality sheer white ribbon, which is totally strange. But anyway, so this is gonna be about, I'm gonna go to the 8 inches and I'm gonna put it in the middle. And I'm going to, you take this, you do a twist. This is, the pattern is the same on both sides, but if you look at this ribbon, that's not, well, it is, but it's probably hard to see. So you see the pattern is that on that side and it's not on this side. So that's why you need to do that twist so that when you come back around, the pattern side will be facing up. So I did that twist and I'm gonna come out to 5 inches. Yes, I love my Easy Bow Maker. I'm coming out to 5 inches and then I'm gonna come back in. And then on this side, I'm going to do my twist, nice and tight twist there. And I'm gonna come to 5 inches on the other side. And I like to kind of round out my loops as I'm going. Every time I put it in, I'm gonna do that twist. And this ribbon is a little bit crinkly, wrinkly, so before I ship it, I will take my flat iron hair, the iron for the hair, the flat iron, and I will run it through. You could do it now before you even make the bow. I just find that having ribbon all over the place is a little bit more inconvenient for me, so I do it after. I just take the flat iron and just kind of round it out, and it just on a low setting, and it takes all those wrinkles right out. And I want to double check that bow again. Okay, so I do 2, 2, 1, 2. Okay, every time I make a bow, not every time, but a lot of the times I change up my recipe. So this is gonna have 2 loops on each side. I'm gonna measure this up. So I have 2 loops of the 2.5 inch. Now I'm going to pull in my 1.5 inch. And I'm gonna line up my tails. Again, I'm gonna do that twist. And I'm gonna come in just a little bit shy of that last layer, so that when you spread them out, you can see all of the layers. So about 1/2 inch to 1 inch shorter than the last layers. And you can see I'm holding it down, especially this particular ribbon. It's light and it kind of like just wants to fly away and pop out. So I'm just holding it down so everything stays down and stacked nice and neatly. So there's no right or wrong on making bows. You can do whatever recipe you like. This one I happen to just do 2, 2, 1, 2, and I will show you what that means at the end. So this one makes it a little bit, it's a slippery ribbon. This is really, my wedding bows are really the only time I use these sheer ribbons. So I'm gonna cut this off. So I have 2 loops of each. Now I'm going to bring back my 2.5 inch. Measure those up, put it in, give it the twist, and I need 1 loop of this. The These bows I make in all different sizes. This is really good for the baskets or a smaller wreath, but I do make these larger up to, I believe it's 30 inches. I think I offer it 16, 24, and 30 inches on the larger size. So I have one loop on each side of this one. Oh, look at that. Can you see that? That's a bummer. I gotta take this out. Let me put this up. Can you see that? It's got like a snag in the middle of it. I can't use that. So let's do that one again. That's disappointing. Sometimes you'll even get like where the manufacturer has glued right in the middle of your bow in your roll. And that can really throw off when you're in the middle of doing a bow. That can really throw it off. That's disappointing because I paid for that ribbon, and that's quite a bit that I have to throw away now because I've already cut it, so it is what it is, right? Okay, so we have 2, 2, 1, and you can see how each layer is a little bit shorter than the last. And we're gonna finish off this bow bringing back that 1.5 inch ribbon. Giving it the twist. And 2 more loops on each side. I make and sell a lot of different bows in my Etsy shop, which is listed down in the description, craftytherapybyl.etsy.com. All different, all the holidays, seasonal, lots of colors, everyday ones. I also have, for the wreath makers that like to make wreaths but they haven't perfected their bows, I make bundles. So you'll find mystery boxes in my Etsy shop where you'll save a little bit of money by buying 5 or more. You don't know what you're gonna get, but I can guarantee you that they're all gonna be beautiful and there'll be something from every season. So you'll get a fall and a Christmas and something for spring. I think you'll be happy with what I send. So now what I'm doing is just fluffing out my wreath. So now everybody's stacked up. I have 2, 2, 1, 2. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we have to spread out our loops. So I go 1 up, 1 down, 1 up, 1 down, 1 down, 1 up. And I'm putting everybody where I want them to be. And then I'm going to do the other side. And you can see I'm holding them down so they don't come flying out. I'm giving them a little round out also. Put my fingers in and round them out. I also send my customers instructions on how to round out their loops, which is very easy to do because I only use wired ribbon and it's quality wired ribbon. So I have definitely received some rolls of ribbon with wire that is just not up to my liking, and I have returned them for sure. Okay, so there we go. We have this beautiful wreath, beautiful bow. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a zip tie and I'm gonna go underneath all the layers and up the middle. This is an 8-inch zip tie. I try to keep kind of all of the colors to match my bows. I've got black, green, red, tan, clear. So I came up the middle. You don't have to use a zip tie. Some people just go ahead and use a pipe cleaner. I just find that when I put the zip tie in place, that bow's not going anywhere. So I can tug on it, my customer can tug on it. Some people use zip tie, pipe cleaners or just the wire, the floral wire. But I just find that it's a little bit awkward to use them, to get them in place. Here I just put it in. I kind of secure it, but I don't secure it all the way so that I could take it and scooch it around the back. And now I'm gonna make it pretty much tight, but I'm gonna leave a little opening. And now I'm going to thread my pipe cleaner through, halfway through. And now I can pull it as hard as I can. This is just what I have found what works best. So I'm gonna take these, I use them like a little handle. And now I'm going to pull on all of my tails, give them a nice round. Make sure everybody's in their place. Oh my goodness. See, I'm sitting here talking. I forgot to put my little embellishment in. Let me see if I can just, I pulled that pretty tight, so I don't think I'm gonna be able to. But let me see. Let's see if I can work this in here. That's why I use the zip tie, because it's so strong and I can pull it tight, but that's all right. What we're gonna do is I'm gonna snip that. I'm gonna grab another one. Things happen, right? Just being careful to keep everything in place. I'm gonna get that pipe cleaner back in the back. Now I'm pulling it, but not too tight, so that I can go ahead and add this guy in here underneath. Honestly, normally I do this when it's still in the bow maker before I pull it out. There we go. Come on, little fingers. Just grab my pliers to pull it through. There we go. Okay. All right, so that guy's in. Now I can pull that super tight. And I want to make this a little bit shorter, this end piece, and I'm going to tuck that over. Again, let's start over. We're gonna grab our handle in the back, kind of fluff those out a little bit, and refluff. And it got flat, but no big deal. That's going to fluff right back out. Now I put my fingers in the middle and I just round it out. And that pipe cleaner is going to hold everything in place, so I can really pull on these up, down, out. And then I do the other side. Going through each one, rounding it out, shaping them. Giving it a lot of body. And the little pearls just add a little extra something to it. Now my final thing I need to do is just angle. You can do two things. I'm going to angle mine. You can also dovetail, which is folding it over and cutting it at an angle like that. That would be calling dovetailing it. I do that also. Most of the time, I just cut them at an angle now, though. It's whatever you prefer. No right or wrong. And the other side, just cutting it the other way, angling it the other way. Okay, just clean up a mess. Okay, so there we have our first project done. This is going to be shipped out today. Pretty, this is really pretty for communions. Got a lot of communions coming up. Just adding it to tying it right onto the side of a basket, like for whether it's the programs or favors. This can just be added on right onto a wreath. These look really pretty on greenery wreaths. So if you have something already, you just add something like this and it just totally changes the feel of it. Thank you. Okay, so that's gonna be shipped today. And next, the next thing I always like to do is the top of this is magnetic, and I always like to go around because when you're cutting the wire, these little tiny little pieces can fly all over the place and get on the floor. I'm usually barefoot. I got the dogs. I don't want anybody getting anything. So I just kind of go over really quickly, and you can see I've picked up a couple of metal shavings. So just something to keep in mind. All right, so we're done with this. Let me just clean up a little bit. So did everybody watch the Super Bowl yesterday? We watched a little bit. I don't even know what the final was I think the Chiefs were getting killed, so we kind of shut it off. We watched a little bit of the halftime. I didn't understand what he was saying. We shut that off. So I'm not a big football fan anyway, but it wasn't our favorite. Just check comments here in case I'm missing anything. Okay, so what I'm going to do first is I'm just going to get, this is a welcome wreath. It's kind of like an everyday wreath. It's a little bit nautical. This one's going to coastal South Carolina. So what I'm going to start doing is getting my ribbons cut. So I'm going to be using 2 ribbons. Normally I use between 2 ribbons and 4 ribbons. Normally I use 2 2.5-inch ribbons with 2 1.5-inch ribbons. This one I was feeling a little creative and I went with 2 2.5-inch ribbons. So I'm going to be using my little tail cutters, ribbon tail cutters. This is a 12-inch ribbon tail cutter that I just had my son cut it down to 12 inches for me. I think I bought this originally, I want to say it was Joann's, and we just cut it down to the size that I need. And then I also have a 13-inch one. I have a 10-inch one, ones that I use quite often. So there's going to be 1 ribbon of each on every single tail. Let me bring up that picture also so I can just make sure I do it the correct way. Yes, okay, so I need 12 of each. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. You see how easy that was by using the ribbon tails boards? Instead of measuring out each one like this in the beginning, I would measure each one out and cut it. So find that's easy. And then I will take a straight pin and just pop it so when I store it, everything's nice and neat. And then I'll be using this tan with polka dot. Just cut this off. Just slide it off. And then I need 12 of this one. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So nice and easy, and I just want to finish with prepping my ribbons, so I'm going to cut them. This is one that I use a lot. You can see that there's a lot of space here. That kind of gets a little wonky when I'm storing it on my shelf. So at this point, I like to just take this off. And I like to take this side off. I find that it just saves room on my shelf. Of course, I'm gonna fight with it. And what I'm gonna do is I'm going to cut this out so that I have the SKU number, and I will fold it and pop it right in here. So when I do need to order it, probably another 1 or 2 wreaths, then I will reorder this. I store it in there, and I know which one exactly it was, because they do change over time. The patterns, what you think might be, you know, something that looks similar, when you get it, it's not the same. Okay, so I can put my tail boards away. And now I'm going to take 3 pieces, and we're going to dovetail them like I was just talking about. So I folded it over, and I'm going to cut it at an angle. So you have that finished look. Might be better on the green. On both sides, just line up the edge, cut it at an angle. It just gives it a nice finished look. Again, not necessary, but what I prefer to do. It's how I learned. This one is a nice everyday wreath, so you can hang it all year long if you want. You can swap out your seasonal wreath and then just leave this one, or a holiday wreath and then put this one up in between. And this will have a welcome sign that I make using my Cricut. It's going to be a stained sign, and then in the middle it has welcome, and then it has a little embellishment on the side. But that'll have to do off camera because I have to still stain the sign. I find if I do more than 3 ribbons at a time, especially depending on how thick, this one is a really thick ribbon, they start shifting around and then your cut will not be symmetrical. So I just take a little extra time. I put a little, to keep it nice and neat, off to the side. And now we're gonna work on our frame. I like to make my own frames. You can buy them already done. But a lot of the times when you buy them already done, it comes with an odd number of twist ties. What did I do with the, oh, here it is. So this is a 14-inch frame. It has 6 sections and 6 crossbars. And I'm gonna be using my pipe cleaners. And since my mesh is tan, I just chose the tan so that it blends nicely. So I'm gonna put 6 on the inside and 12 on the outside. And I have some videos earlier on, you can go back and watch, where I go really slowly on how I put these together. But for the most part, I use the 14-inch occasionally, depending on the size of the sign. I'll also use a 16-inch frame. But this 14-inch frame will give me a finished 24-inch diameter, which is a nice size for the door. These can also be made thin, flat, so if you have a screen door, it will close properly. Where I'm in New York, so most of our houses have those screen doors. So I make a lot of those. So I have 1 in each crossbar, right in the middle. So there's 6 on the inside. I just use these and I go right into the middle and I tie it onto the second ring. And for the outside, I put 2. So here we have the crossbars. I'm putting 2 in about 1 inch over, and I'm tying it onto the 2 outer and making sure I tie on the outside. So I'm wrapping it around the first and second rings and twisting on the outside one. This makes a little bit fuller of a wreath. If I wanted it a little bit flatter, then I would only do 1 on the outside and I would tie it the same way on these 2, but right here. So there would be 6 on the outside and 6 on the inside. So yeah, if you buy these already ready-made, sometimes you'll have, the online stores are generally okay. Even them, occasionally you'll get one with an odd number of twist ties. But when I go to put on my ribbons, normally every tie is going to have the same ribbon pattern. So at this point, it doesn't really matter. But when I mix up my ribbon patterns, I don't want 2 of the same patterns together. So that's why I like to put these on. Everything is an even number. I can space them out how I like them. Do you make your own wreath frames or do you like buying them? It's definitely an extra step doing this, but you can see it only takes me a minute. To buy them pre-made also, they can be up to almost $10 sometimes. So it's quite a cost savings if you can do it yourself. Okay. And my favorite place to get these pipe cleaners is Hobby Lobby. I find that they have the best quality ones. The other ones have such a thin wire in the middle. Let me know where you get yours from. I'm always looking to source different places. So this is one of my favorite meshes to use. I use it all year long. It's a pretty color. It's got, they call that snowball mesh. It's neutral, it kind of goes with everything. I'm gonna be using my rotary cutter. and my trusty old block. This one says Happy Easter. So I'm going to be cutting this entire roll at 20 inches. So I just use my little block to hold it so it doesn't keep rolling back on me. So this is a 10. Looks like I can use a new, it's either the board is starting to get dented, or I could use a new blade, which I've been using this for a while, so it's probably the blade. So I know I want to use up this whole roll. I have a total of 18 ties, so there's 360 inches. 360 divided by 18 gives me 20 inches, so that's why I'm cutting this at 20 inches. That way I don't have anything left over. I could just use one roll. I think it comes out full enough. If you want it really super duper full, you can go 22 inches, 24 inches, 30 inches I've seen people do. Again, that just adds the cost to your customer. And I do try to keep my wreaths reasonable. My wreaths are anywhere from about 65 up to 120. Some people use a, what do you call that thing? The heat. I want to say heat gun. It's not a heat gun. It's oh my goodness, like a soldering iron. If anybody knows the proper, I'm blanking on it. It seals the edges supposedly, but it also puts off fumes. And that's just not something that I want to deal with or have my family have to deal with. So this works fine for me. You also have to work on in an open area and wear a mask, and you have to work on a glass plate. If you don't have one of these, as long as you have a very sharp scissor, that'll work as well. Definitely invest in some tools from the beginning though. It will make your wreath making journey much easier. And your final product will show that. So this one's going to be a little bit, rather than me saving 2-3 inches, I just made that last one a little bit longer. This is a new brand that I got for Christmas, and I don't love it. I feel like this has not lasted as long as my other brands. But that's okay. All right, so now we have our frame. We have 12 on the outside and 6 on the inside. And I need that little clip back. And I'm going to be doing the, I believe they call it a cruffle or a cruffle. Yeah, I think it's a cruffle. It's been around for a while. So basically I'm going to take the edges, I'm going to roll it in 2 or 3 times. I'm going to take my clip just so that it's holding it. And now I'm going to do the other side. And now I'm going to scrunch it right up the middle. And you end up with a little butterfly or a bow tie with even sides. And I'm going to, I prefer to do the outside first. So I'm going to add it to my pipe cleaner and twisting it 2 or 3 times nice and tight. Okay. So again, you roll it on the ends 2 or 3 times, and then you crunch it up the middle, nice small long gathers. Then you pinch the middle and you add it to the next pipe cleaner. So we have something like that. And I'm just going to do this all the way around. This is probably, this and the ruffle method is probably my favorite style to make. There's lots of different styles. There's the pull through method, there's the poof method. Designers are always coming out with their own little style and naming it that. This just works well. It makes it for a pretty wreath. It's full without using a lot of extra materials. So that my customers can get an affordable wreath and they can keep coming back for more. I just hit 2,700 sales in my Etsy shop, so that was pretty exciting. And I have over 900 five-star reviews. So that's something to be proud of. It's something that you definitely have to work at. I eventually will open my own website, but for now, I'm not that great on the computer. So I just figured that's something else that I have to manage. So it's about 10.5% that you pay Etsy to do all the things. And honestly, it's really not. People say that's a lot of money. That's really not a lot. They're doing the advertising and running a website, taking payments and running credit card payments and all that for me. So for now, it is my preferred place to sell. I do take custom orders. So if you see something in my Etsy shop but you want maybe a different theme or a different color, you want a little more purple added into it or whatever the case may be, you can always just message me through Etsy and I can customize that. So I'm just going one by one, adding one of these into every tie, not skipping any. And then I'll go into the middle. So does everybody have their cup of coffee? I like to take my cup of coffee first thing in the morning and I'll scroll through YouTube and Facebook to do a slow wake up before I start my day. But like I was saying in the beginning, I haven't been on here. I was doing weekly videos, but with all my family home, the kids were off from their winter. I have 2 in college and 1 in high school. There was always someone home, and I work in the middle of my house, basically, off in my dining room. So there's always someone in the kitchen or being noisy. So when my one son is still sleeping, he doesn't have class until later. The other son went to his class. He'll be back in a little bit. And then my third son went to school. He's in 10th grade. That's why I figured I'd jump on. And I hope to get back into the routine of doing this a little bit more often. And it's always easier to go when I have an Etsy order to complete and chat with you guys. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. If I don't see them now and you're watching the replay, I will get notified and go back and answer them as best I can. All of my materials I will have linked down in the description on where you can find them on Amazon. I always suggest starting out with quality materials. Even when you're learning, it's really important to start with a quality material and not. I remember in the beginning, I was trying to use Dollar Tree ribbon and mesh. It doesn't save you any money because you're getting a smaller quantity and inferior product, and your final product is going to show that. So I say take it up a notch and at least go to and buy things on sale. Buy them on sale when they're at Hobby Lobby or Michael's or Joann's. Even if you don't want to go to the online crafts suppliers. For the most part, you'll get some decent products at the local craft stores. Okay, we have 2 more. You can see how it really fills out. So I came into the middle and I'm just putting it right on top of the outside. These also make great winter wreaths too. All right, so we have all of our mesh on, and you can see how beautiful and full that is. So this is at about 24 inches at this point in diameter, and that's at about 5 inches thick. So this, you can still get away with putting this on a screen door. For my screen door, I could still do this method and my screen door will close. So this is definitely probably my favorite mesh to use. So now we're going to bring back in our ribbons. So I have 2 2.5-inch wired ribbons. Like I was saying earlier, sometimes I do 2 ribbons, sometimes I do 4 ribbons. You can do 1 ribbon. So what I'm doing is I'm just lining it up, I'm folding it over and creasing the middle so that my tails will be equal in length. And I'm going to pinch the middle. And I'm going to start on the outside. I'm going to add this right into a pipe cleaner and twist it 2 or 3 times. And then I'm going to go in and I'm going to kind of pop out this middle. And I'm going to do a little twist, you see? So it kind of releases it. I'm twisting and releasing it. Same thing here. Twisting and releasing it, and I'm spreading them out so that now you can see all of the pretty pattern. Okay, so I'm going to skip this one, and now I'm going to go to this one. Now normally I have pattern A and a pattern B when I do use 4 different ribbons, and then I will alternate them all the way around. This time, when I originally made this wreath, I only used 1 pattern. So whatever looks good to you, there's no right or wrong. Some people just leave their ribbons like this. I don't know why you would really do that, honestly. I paid for all of these ribbons. I want to see it. Some people have them going up and down like that. I don't know. That just doesn't look right to me. So I like them to go this way. and it really fills out the wreath. So I'm curving them down a little bit, spreading them out. I'm gonna skip that one. Lining them up, folding it over, pinch the middle, pinch it in. And you can see all of the pretty ribbon by doing that. I am skipping every other one because I find, and I've tried it in the past, if I put a ribbon tails in every single one, it really takes over the wreath. And just for me, again, I've seen people do it also, it's just overwhelming to me. And it's just too much. So I prefer every other one. That way you can still see a little bit of the mesh coming through. And it's balanced to my eye. Sometimes I'll take little picks or little greenery and I'll add them to those areas. That does look pretty. And last one for the outside. Lining them up, folding it over, pinching the middle so that my tails are equal in length. The winds are whipping out here today. I'm on Long Island in New York, and it has just been crazy, crazy windy for months now. I feel like the last year it has just been crazy. Even last year, I do a couple of outdoor craft fairs. Now I'm down to about 2 per year. But even so 2023, the rain and the winds were just so incredible that I felt bad for my fellow vendors who were out there. It was just every single weekend, things were flying. People were losing their tents. So yeah, it's been crazy windy here. So now I'm just going to the middle, and this I will add one for every tie. I won't be skipping any in the middle here. Yeah, as I did more and more craft fairs, I realized that they're really just, most of them are not worth it, rather than sitting here in my nice, comfortable dining room table and just shipping out orders from my Etsy shop. I also do wreath classes. I offer them here at my house during the nice weather in my backyard, and I go to people's homes. Those are fun. I enjoy those, meeting different people. Everyone always says, oh, I'm not a crafter, they're gonna come out terrible, and everybody's always so happy when and impressed with themselves. I bring everything prepared, cut, ready to go, and I go step by step on how to assemble the wreath. Even those are a little bit hard to plan because I don't like to do them in the middle of the summer months. I mean, I have to do it out in my backyard, which I have room in the backyard. In the house, it's tight. I got the 2 dogs who like to bark at anybody that comes in the door. They're not vicious, but you know, that gets people nervous, and I can understand. So the heat of the summer is challenging. The rain in the spring can be challenging. Okay. Isn't that coming together pretty? I love these soft neutral colors. Great for like a coastal home, right? Or if you do nautical themes, lake house. See, this one's a little bit longer. Just gonna trim that down a little bit. Still a little bit longer, but that's fine. No one's gonna know. Okay, so we have 6 sets of ribbons on the inside. We have 6 on the outside. We have skipped every other one on the outside. We can still see our beautiful mesh coming through. You can see all of the ribbon tails because I've spread them out as I do. Now I'm not going to use these. Sometimes I'll put maybe a floral or a greenery or tubing, but I'm not going to do that with this wreath. So now I can come in and trim it down to about, I don't know, maybe a centimeter or 2 above the last twist. You don't want to cut it too close to your twist, otherwise it can unravel. So I'm going to every one and just trimming these all down, and then I'm going to go ahead and fold them over. So if you're just jumping on, you can go back and watch the replay. I made a wedding bow at the beginning. You can check out what's available in my Etsy shop, craftytherapybyl.etsy.com. I have pre-made bows, wreaths. I also sell ribbon kits. So I have perfectly coordinated ribbons that will ensure, if you're not sure which ribbons go together, which colors go together, I've taken the guesswork out of that. You can check that out at my Etsy shop, craftytherapybyl.etsy.com. Lots of bows. I also have custom signs. My son does woodworking, and I have some of his things for sale on there also. He does a lot of beautiful boxes, remote control boxes, card boxes, Christmas card boxes. We have, if you're on Long Island, we sell map of Long Island, personalized with the town and the heart. We also do the state, so any of the states can be put on it. And we ship every single day. So I'm just going around and tucking them over so that there's nothing sharp. Isn't that pretty? So now what I need to do is finish up my sign. I'll be doing this off camera. So it's a wood stained sign. This needs another coat. This is going to have a pretty trim on it. In the middle it says welcome. And then that's going to go right in the middle. And that will be, I will put 4 pipe cleaners stapled to the back, and then I will tie it onto my wreath. So that will get shipped out today. This is the wedding bow that we made earlier. Sweet little white sheer wedding bow. That will get shipped out. I hope you found this helpful. If you did, please subscribe. Like I said, I'm gonna try to start going a little bit more frequently, once a week, doing different tutorials, whether it's using my Cricut machine, making signs, making more wreaths, whatever kind of comes up and I need to get done, I will try to go live, and I hope you will join me. So press that subscribe button. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments. I am happy to answer whatever I can. And if you're interested in any of my products, check out my Etsy shop. It will be listed in the description. Have a great day. Thank you for joining me.